Hey guys, welcome to the show. So my name is Extus Justin, and if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our community, high ticket client attraction insider circle, then we'd love to come have you. That community was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting consistent clients to their businesses and scaling to that 6 and that 7 figure level. So if that's you, then we'd definitely come. We'd love to have you come join us. The name of the community again is called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, and you could find us on Facebook in our private community, our private Facebook group. So with that being said, we have today's guests here. So in terms of your name, how do you pronounce your name, first of all?
You could say Carlos. That's pretty fun.
Carlos. Okay, but what's the original? Is it Carlos?
Well, in my own language, it would sound Carlis, but we have different syllables than in English. So honestly, I am used to any way people say it because I understand that it's difficult to say all the exact syllables. So I'm down with Carlis, Carlos, Car, all good.
So Carlos, and your last name is it RuPaul's, right?
Pupols. That's a Latvian last name. Yeah.
Good. And then your name comes from, and I see you're originally from Latvia, right?
Yeah, I'm from Latvia originally.
Yeah. Am I saying it right, Latvia?
Yeah, that's fine. You're nailing it, bro.
Okay, good. Yes. That's one of the places I have a few clients previous clients used to live back there, and they kind of told me about it. They told me it's like a beautiful place. It's an awesome place to be. But it's great to have you here, man.
Thanks. It's a pleasure chatting with you too, man.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so tell us, what is it that you do?
So I'm a confidence coach. And basically what I help people do is I help people regain their own self-esteem, self-worth, and realize, that they are the hot stuff inside.
Yeah. So confidence coach, what got you into confidence coaching?
It's really, it's interesting is that this journey led from my own personal challenges and struggles. Honestly, 10 years back and even 5 years back, I would say I would never become this because I was the person who was not confident. I was very insecure. I grew up really without a father as my parents divorced when I was young. And also I didn't have the best emotional contact with my mother. So I grew up with a lot of holes, in my own self. And I ended up searching for a lot of problems on my own. I would search internet a lot, search through myself, and really just contemplate for hours and have this desire to find out why. Why is it that happened? Why is it that I felt so insecure? Why did I feel that I was not good enough? And through just very deep personal exploration and overcoming these limiting beliefs, overcoming these past traumas, I gained it's completely shut the other way around. I am now in a point where I feel the most confident I ever am. I'm living the best life I ever am. I've lived, and I feel the best I've ever felt.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. Because I know in life, it's one of those places, it's one of those things where when we get started, and for whatever situation, just I realized myself too, the biggest part in life is really confidence. Because I know when I went through a phase in my life where it's just like I was just in this insecure kid, trying to make everybody happy and trying to do all of these things that I thought would make me happy. And when I really thought back on the whole process, is just that I really just didn't have the confidence. So was there a specific instance in your life where you just said, okay, I got to figure this out? Was there any like specific instance that led you on your journey?
Well, I always had this burning desire, but in my university years, I really hit the lowest point in my life. I felt I hit the low ground. I was feeling very depressed, and my self-worth was just in the basement, in the ground, fully. I had no day rhythm. I would have no structure in the day. I would just kind of be like a blob going through the day. And then I realized that, hey, I gotta climb out of this. I had this deep believing inside of me that I can do it, but it just took a lot of work and a lot of effort. But it pays off, it really pays off. And what the interesting thing is, what I found about confidence is that I don't see that confidence is really just a cause and effect type of situation. I see that confidence is something more of an emergent quality. It comes from self-acceptance. It comes from forgiving yourself, letting go of the past shame, of the guilt, of the doubts, realizing that you're fine, realizing that you're okay the way you are, and giving approval to yourself. I
Hmm.
see that you are the most important person in the world for you. I'm the most important person in the world for me. And our own approvals is that what ultimately gives us that confidence and that inner belief that we are good enough, we are great, we're capable.
Hmm. So why do you think it is that most individuals struggle with confidence? Why do you think that's the case?
When looking at people of my own age, I see that a lot of it also has to come from the conditioning of the society and of the past. Generally, in about 70% of the cases, the kids will raise up their kids the way how they were raised up by their parents. So it really just follows this chain further and further. And I see that, I was personally subjected to a lot of comparison in my early ages. I was compared to kids doing better for me as a type of encouragement, but that didn't work out at all. I was kind of feeling worse about myself, that I was not meeting these high expectations that were set for my parents' side. And I see that a lot of confidence issues come from the fact that mm, kids have been conditioned through these past experiences. They have been conditioned by their parents because their parents had some maybe high expectations, or maybe they wanted kids to do one thing, and that did not really correlate with what the kids wanted to do themselves. So they end up with a kind of in a shaky position where they have a lot of conditioning from the past, which is it's not really matches their own personal being, what they want. So they're in this conflicting state, whether to kind of go their own journey and disregard everything they've learned, or kind of stick to what society is telling them but be miserable. And
Hmm.
that's the safest option. The safest option is really to stick in the familiar bubble. Stick with the miserable lifestyle, which is known, which is familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
powerful stuff. I know with the whole, because a big part about I realized with our how growing up, a lot of, as you said, it's called conditioning, where the values what our parents either impress upon us, or the way they kind of raised us. Most of the times, it's not them; it's based on how they were raised, in a sense, right?
Mhm.
And something,
Exactly.
yeah. So they're kind of like passing it on. And something I remember, a friend of mine, she made a post on her Facebook page or something, but she said, it's like when you become a parent, because when you're a little kid, you always think that your parents, they're right, they have the answers, they know exactly how the world is, and they just have it all figured out. But then when you become a parent, you start realizing that your parents, they were like guessing all along, like there was no way, they didn't really know. And I think that's an important thing to be aware of as well too, as individuals go through their life, because I know that most individuals who they think that what they believe, they think that the thing that the limits and belief or whatever it is the thing, versus to realize that no, the way we got here is just to realize that whoever we got it from, they did the best they could, and now it's
Mhm.
for us to realize that although it could have been true, there's a possibility that it can't be true, and what better beliefs, what better things can we look for that's going to help us evolve, help us like take the thinking, take ourselves to that next level instead of being limited. So it's fascinating with what you do. So in terms of
Exactly.
yeah, helping others as well too. Um, what's the core? Do you have a process? What's your process of helping someone who's lacking confidence? What's your process for getting them to where they have that confidence within themselves?
Yeah. I work in a process as well. Basically, I look back a lot on the past. I look back a lot of different past events, and I venture into the past. And my way of working is really to ask a lot of questions, and help the clients to figure out by themselves. Because I believe that our own knowledge is the one that fits for us the most. I believe
Hmm.
that only we can truly know ourselves what is really needed for us. What is it that we desire inside. And I work by really asking a lot of questions and trying to promote these different topics and bring these topics into life about whether this is something that you wanted to do, or maybe this is something that you heard a long time ago. Maybe this is something that you wanted, that your parents wanted to do. And one other thing is that no one ever makes a wrong decision on purpose. Everyone always tries to make the best decision as they can with the tools that they have. we make failures, we make mistakes, but that's fine. That's all part of the life. That's all the way how we grow. And I see them as being a huge blessing for us because they give us such an opportunity to learn. And I see the way how to regain confidence is really to challenge your current beliefs, challenge the current morals, challenge the current values, and challenge them if those are really the values and morals that are mine, or maybe are those someone that I picked up from. And a lot of the times we pick up a lot of values from our society, from our environment. It's just natural. And I think as an adult, it's our responsibility to kind of become more and more aware of it, and so that we can design our lives. We have the full power to design our lives. It just
Wow.
comes from awareness and realization of it.
Mhm. Awesome. Love it, man. And you say, so your process is ultimately just asking questions to help the individual come up with the answers.
Along with that, also, I do personally myself a lot of visualization, and I believe that this is one of the most powerful tools we have. The creative powers that we have as humans, I believe they're absolutely wonderful, and that's the way how we can install new beliefs, install new programs. As ultimately, I think the humans are just a very complex set of machines, and there are different small cogs that are running in the background. You just have to learn how to operate these cogs, how to install new beliefs, install new powerful beliefs, install new powerful software that help you to run automatically. Because the thing is, though, is that about 5% of the brain's processing power is consciousness. It's for conscious like decisions and conscious thinking. But about 95% is devoted to all the background and subconscious processes. So really the key here is to go back to your subconscious, access that part, which is running your body on automatic, and install different programs, change how the way the background system works. Then afterwards, you don't have to rely solely on your willpower and discipline to go forward, that you have installed powerful beliefs that serve as guidance.
Yeah, powerful stuff, man. I know that's so important as an entrepreneur as well, too, because that's one of the biggest challenges I faced in my own life on my journey. I know when I was first starting my business, I really didn't focus so much on the internal game. I was more focused on the external, which is the techniques and the logic, and things had to make sense and all these different things. But when I really started
Mhm.
getting into the, as you mentioned, the subconscious, the those underlying things, those meta programs, the things that they're running, but we don't even know that they're running. That's when the
Mhm.
biggest breakthroughs happen for us. Because I know financially it was one of the things where I realized I had so many limiting beliefs about finances and all these different things. And for the life of me, I struggled with my business and I couldn't make it profitable. Like I couldn't figure it out.
Mhm.
I'm working with people for free. I'm doing all these different things. But once I went to work on changing those things, everything kind of changed for me. Now, something you mentioned in what you just said here, as far as how much of life do you believe is in terms of just conditioning, mean that the way we become who we are is just based on something that just happened to us, and we think we're in control, but we're typically not in control. It's just based on an old programming. How much of that do you believe that that's the core of what society is, or do you believe that there's a lot more
Well,
open up?
yeah, I get the question. Well, internally, like ultimately, how I see is that when we come into this body, when we come into this experience, there is a set mission, there is a set goal that we come here for. Because I see that nothing happens in the universe without a reason, without a meaning. There is always a reason for things happening. And I see that also us coming here, we come here with a certain task for the life. But how I see is that we are given the free will. We're given the control to go our lives the way how we design it to. Now, I see that there is like a general what's the word, self-correcting mechanism in the universe. Universe tries to guide you along your path, but it doesn't. I don't see that it does very strictly. I see that it allows you a certain degree of control and certain degree of free will. How you operate, how you solve solutions. It gives you really the grounds to explore your creative powers in different problem solving. And so underlying, it's a bit difficult for me to give the exact percentage, but I see the truth is somewhere in the middle. I see that there is a general like self-correcting law in the universe, but at the same time, we have our own creative and free will to adjust our direction, and through iteration and through trying, we advance and go on in life.
Yeah. How much of your work, when you work with your clients, how much of your work has to do with the subconscious um, process? Do you spend quite a bit of time on that process while
Yeah,
working
yeah,
with clients?
yeah. Especially at the start, the majority of my time I will focus there because I see that it's easier to focus on getting rid of those anchors than to try and go ahead with those anchors attached. Because see, I've done through myself. I've done that myself, and I've really tried to push with these anchors. It was so exhausting for me. I realized that I couldn't keep up with this. And now that I've let go of so many of my anchors, I feel that I can go ahead with flow and ease. And I see that's also the way what we should focus on. When something really doesn't work, I believe that there are some underlying things that weigh us down. And by focusing on them first and by resolving those underlying things, we are allowed and we have the power to move on with ease and flow.
hmm So what is an anchor? What's your definition of an anchor?
Well, for example, an anchor could be a conflicting belief. Let me give you one example. So the brain and the body cannot hold conflicting beliefs. Now, let's take one example of a person who wants to exercise. The person says, okay, I want to exercise because I want to gain shape, but the person thinks exercising is hard. Now, that's already a conflicting belief because they're telling themselves that it's hard, and they're giving subconscious signals that they don't want to do it because it's hard. So they want to do it, but they say that they don't want to do it. And what ends up is that they're just going to be running around in circles. They're going to be inconsistent with their exercise. They're going to be running around in circles. So in that case, changing this belief that it's hard for example, either changing it into something like exercising is easy and I like it, or for example, I'm an active person and exercising is just something that I do. Changing this to something that is empowering will allow you to avoid these conflicting beliefs. And those I see as some of the anchors that are holding us back. And instead of anchors, you basically boost the turbo engine to go forward.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Now, you mentioned something about changing beliefs. How do you change beliefs? So, what's your process of changing beliefs? Do you have any?
Um, there are multiple ways. Some of the ways are I see, first of all, we have to realize what is it that we want to change. And that comes through deep inner exploration and just asking yourself a lot of questions. For example, journaling is one of the best tools, I believe, because it really helps you to put it down on paper and look back at it. I believe, a very great self-reflecting exercise, journaling. And then once we've identified these beliefs, we have to start replacing them with something new, because there cannot be a hole left. If we want to get rid of a belief that, let's say, we're not good enough, we have to install something in the place that runs. Otherwise, if it's a hole, it might come back, the old limiting belief. But we have to really override the human software, so to say, and
Mhm.
install a powerful belief. That could be done through different affirmations, through visualization, generally through combination of different techniques. I see that the great way to do it is through combination of the different small aspects, combination of journaling, visualization, some affirmations, gratitude practices. These small things add up, and they ultimately help to turn the big wheels.
Yeah, awesome. I love that, and that's so powerful as well too, because I know for myself as well, that's definitely something with the mindset stuff. That's the one thing I don't play around with anymore, because I used to sometimes I used to do it sometimes, but I realized I was listening to one of my mentors, and he said when you get into this type of realm to where you want to constantly improve, the whole way this world works is you gotta always improve in a sense. You gotta always be like going it's kind of like a lifestyle, like with
Yeah, yeah.
people who want to work out, people who don't work out, they might say, well, I want to work out and I want to get there, and then they start working out and they're like, I don't want to do this and this, blah, blah, versus others who, for them, working out is just their lifestyle. They just,
Hmm.
them doing some type of physical activity, so it's a lifestyle. And I find that with the mindset part of it, which is kind of what you talk about here, for myself at least, I needed to, because that was my biggest challenge, which was I
Hmm.
would learn about this stuff and I would get into it, but then I would like stop, and then things would start getting messy again But then I say, well, things aren't going right. What's happening? Then I would go back into mindset stuff, and then I'd pick it up, but then I'd stop. So now I've gotten to the point of where my day, the first part of my day, is structured around that type of stuff, whether it's the visualization, the affirmations, and those things, because I found they're the things that push me. So when you work, do you have any type of how do you work with your clients as well to get them on that front? Do you have, like, when you take on a client, do you have them do these things on a daily basis? Do you have them do it long term? What's your how do you help?
Yes, I believe that daily practices, and really I call them daily self-care practices,
Mhm.
are extremely important as this consistency. It's really, I see that it's really not how much you can do in one day, but how many days in a row you can keep up. And even if you do just the slightest thing, just the tiniest bit, it adds up. I, for example, myself have daily gratitude practices. I have practices where I envision myself, and meditation practices, and those are some of the things I recommend people to do every day too, is to every day create daily rituals for yourself. Create daily self-care rituals for yourself. Maybe that may be gratitude, meditation, journaling. There are different practices, because the thing is, though, is there are different techniques that fit to different people. I don't see that there is one thing that fits all. I see that really it's unique based on the person's personality. But these by installing these conditions, really by installing conditions that help us to do these daily practices. For example, if we want us to drink more often, maybe placing a glass of water in the door frame so you cannot get past it. Or set some conditions in the environment. Basically, set conditions in the environment to eliminate friction from doing the things that you want to do, and create friction that stop you from doing things that you don't want to do. And then once you optimize your environment, it's much easier to follow these paths and follow this track of self-care, of self-gratitude, of this envisioning, and then afterwards of doing these small habits, daily small habits, which add up. This compound effect, it adds up.
Yeah, perfect. Now, in yourself, in your life, one of the last question I want to ask is,
Sure.
what is that one skill? What is that one thing the biggest breakthrough you've made in terms of maybe a skill you've learned or something that you've done that you think is responsible for getting you to where you are today, where you're able to, again, build a business that you love, do what it is that you love, and have the freedom that you want?
Mm. It's a good question. It's a good question, and it's not the easiest one to answer. But I see that it really all started with my passion to question things and understand why. Because I've always loved to understand why, how things work, why things work, what's the reason. And I see that the question and asking questions is one of the greatest openers to everything in life. Because once we say a statement, I can do this, for example, or this can be done, or whatever, we shut it down. We give basically ourselves a program that's it. It's the end stop. When we constantly ask questions, how can I do this? How can I achieve this? How can I solve my trauma? How can I live happier life? Just ask questions. And these questions, sometimes I've had these questions, they've been so burning that they keep me up at the night. I've been questioning myself, like, how can I achieve a better life? How can I feel good about myself? I've been asking and asking and asking so many times, but it always brings to a solution. By asking questions, it always is going to bring to a solution. And from there, you can ask the next question. That's how you constantly move ahead.
Love it, man. Thank you for sharing that. So the final question is, if someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Pretty easy, either on social. They can find me on the Facebook page. I also have a group, called Inner Growth Coaching, and I also have my scheduling page. I'm not sure if my scheduling page is on my Facebook, but it's easy to get. Once they find me, we can get in touch easily.
Perfect. So, guys, and if you were listening to this, whether it's on live right now or on the replay, all the links he just mentioned here, I will have them in the description section. So you'll be able to click and get right to them. So, with that being said, do you have any final thoughts before we end here?
Wow, we already talked so many of the good thoughts.
I know, right?
Um, really what I just want to what some of the things that I want to tell everyone is that, you know, we're all unique, we're all precious, and we're all special, and there is no one person I see who is better or who is worse. And that's the thing, you know, we're all eternal in our soul's value, and we should own it, you know, own our own preciousness, you know, because we're all unique and we're all wonderful.
Yeah, love it, man. Hey, man, well, in that case, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this, Carlos. And we shall be in touch, okay?
Yeah, Extus, lovely talking to you, man. I wish you a nice day. Take care.
Awesome. You do the same.